It's high noon. It's probably the last thing your opponent's gonna hear before you completely demolition their board and destroy the rest of their life points. This deck is really good. Magical Musketeers has a very good cowboy thing going on, and I'm loving it. I'm pretty sure it's the reason why you guys clicked on this video. Today, not only am I gonna be giving you guys a deck profile of Magical Musketeer, we're gonna be showing you why I don't play certain card choices that are very popular, and also what is a good budget build for this deck. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more of these awesome videos, go ahead and smash on that like button. But more importantly, you can take out your 6-shooter and use one of those bullets to hit the notification bell, because we just too strong over here. Without further ado, I present to you a Magical Musketeer deck profile. Alright guys, starting off with the monsters, we're going to run 3 copies of Magical Musketeer Casper. I know those aren't Caspers, obviously. Still waiting on my Caspers in the mail, but I wanted to get you guys this deck profile as fast as possible. What Casper does is the most important effect. When a card is activated in its column, spell, or trap, and that means your column as well as your opponent's columns, once per turn you can add 1 Magical Musket card from your deck to your hand. Now, all of the Magical Musketeer monsters up to date, for the exception of one, we don't play it in the main board right now, allows you to search, add, or recurse some type of Magical Musket card from your deck, graveyard, or hand to your from your deck or graveyard to your hand, or special summon to your side of the field. I know that sounds a little confusing, but we'll get over it. Another thing about these Magical Musket monsters is that while they're on the field, is you can activate spells and trap cards that are Magical Musket from your hand during either player's turn. So that is really awesome. 3 copies of Magical Musket Starfire. What she does is she special summons Magical Musket monsters to your side of the field when a spell or trap card is activated in her column. She's really good for tutoring any of your Magical Musket monsters that you need to your side of the field in a pinch. So we run 3 copies of her. A card that we normally isn't seen at 3 copies is Magical Musket Kid Brave, or as I would like to call, McCree. What he does is when a card is activated in this column, you can discard a Magical Musket card from your hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. I think he is pivotal for being able to draw deeper into your deck and search those great cards. Also behind Castor and Starfire, none of these other cards can activate on a whim, where McCree, he can activate practically on a whim, being able to draw deeper into your deck and get rid of useless Magical Musket cards. Dr. combos really well with Kid Brave, being able to recurse those Magical Musket cards from your graveyard to your hand. Keep in mind, Magical Musketeer cards are Magical Musket cards. So when a card says Magical Musket, it means Magical Musketeer as well. So Kid Brave can send the cards to the graveyard, as well as Doctor being able to cycle those cards back into your hand, which is a pretty good combo. Last is Magical Musket Calamity, which is another reason why we run 3 copies of Kid Brave. Calamity can special summon those monsters sent from Kid Brave to your graveyard, to your side of the field. So McCree is really good in this deck, and I think he's a little underrated. That's it for the main monsters. We're going to play the 6 hand traps. I'm probably going to make a video on this. 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and 3 copies of Joel and Liebberg. I think in order to be competitive, you have to be running some sort of hand traps, and these are the best of the best right now. For a budget build, we're going to be talking about that at the end of the main deck profile. So that's it for monsters at 18. For spells, I think we're at 14. We run 3 copies of Magical Musket Cross Domination. This is hands down the best card in the deck when it comes to spell and trap cards. So when activated, it can target a monster on the field, reduces attack to 0, and negate the monster's effect. The fact that you got activate this card when your opponent declares an attack, or when you're battling an opponent's monster, negating its effect and reducing its attack not only will ensure that you win the battle, but negates your opponent's pivotal effects. Quick play spell cards are also the best type of spell cards in the game, and it kind of has that symbol. 3 copies of Double Summon. Not only does this work really well in tandem with Casper, it also allows you to activate your Magical Musket cards when activated in the same column. The second summon is really good when you draw enough Magical Musket cards. 2 copies of Magical Musket Steady Hands. This is Steady Hands right here, and this is Domination right here. That just kind of like got to me. I know, right? It was pulling that pulling them cowboy tricks. Steady Hands allows you to double the attack of one of your Magical Musket monsters, but it can't attack directly. If you guys look at all the Magical Musket monsters, they're not so strong. So this searchable card allows us to make our monsters bigger. And that's the real reason why we play it. I'm going to talk about Honest a little later. 2 copies of Pot of Desires. Now, if you guys love drawing cards, then this is the deck for you. You activate Pot of Desires on Kid Brave, you are allowed to draw 4 cards. That's going to dig you deeper into your deck. That's 14 cards deeper into your deck, plus the Banish 10. We run just about 3 of every card, multiple copies of almost every single card, so banishing them isn't really a problem. Last is 3 copies of Toon Table of Contents. Did I say it right? Did I say it right? Oh, I hope I said it right. I'm sorry, I just love Pegasus. This is how he does it. Toon Table of Contents is a very important card. And I know you guys are like, why are you playing Toon Table of Contents in a cowboy deck? That doesn't even make sense. They don't even read books. Well, back in the Old West, I'm pretty sure they read some type of books. What Toon Table of Contents allows you to do is not only trigger your magical musketeer monsters, but it searches another copy of Toon Table of Contents from your deck to your hand to trigger your future magical musket monsters or other magical musket monsters on the field. And then the last copy is Toon World, a card that is searchable by the last Toon Table of Contents and signifies the end of you searching through Toon Table of Contents and still triggers your magical musket cards. Now that is it for the spells at 14. For traps, 3 copies of Magical Musket Last Stand. Our counter trap is really good. Negation of opponent spells and trap cards has never been so saucy, especially in the form of a searchable counter trap card at whim. 3 copies of Magical Musket Desperado. Not only do we have an Infernity Barrier-like card, we get a Zodiac Trident in the form of a non-poppable trap card. Oh man, this deck is saucy. 1 copy of Magical Musket Fiendish Deal. This solidifies our Magical Musket deck, being able to prevent our opponent from destroying them with card effects. Also, if our opponent destroys this card first, we get to search a Magical Musket card from our deck to our hand. It's kind of saucy. Last, the deck really struggles with going second, so I decided to play the best card for going second. Evenly Matched not only evenly matches the board, it banishes our opponent's pivotal cards, which probably will allow us to get into the game. I feel like this is probably the best variant, mainly because we'll talk about those other cards right after I tell you guys the budget options. So looking at the deck, Evenly Matches are about 70 each last time I checked. Ash Blossoms are still 70 each last time I checked. Endrolls are still about 30 each last time I checked. That is, what? 70, 140, 210, 210, so 420. 420 blaze it. That right there is $510. That's fucking crazy on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I know players are like, TheCaliEffect, how do I still stay competitive without dropping all of this money? Well, first of all, we're looking at a YCS level event. You're probably going to have to drop around this amount of money. I'm just going to have to tell you that straight up. But there are some really good alternatives for the people that just can't afford it and still want to be very viable. So we're going to drop all 9 of these cards for you budget players. And we're actually going to play Magical Musket Mastermind Zachiel. Now, the reason why is because while he's on the field, he does gain its advantage, but that's not the most important thing. We're going to completely throw away our extra deck and play 3 copies of Domain of the Monarchs. Now, you guys are starting to get there. That coupled with 3 copies of Terraforming. So, look. The Terraformings activate on your Magical Muskets, giving you guys a search. The Domain, since we have no extra deck, allows us to, guess what? Lock our opponent out of extra deck. And the Magical Musketeer Mastermind can be summoned by tributing 1 Magical Musketeer monster. So if you activate Terraforming on a Casper, you search the Domain and get the Mastermind, you can tribute him and then summon a Mastermind that gains you advantage and your opponent cannot go into their extra deck. That's pretty damn good for a budget option. I mean, looking at it right now, I kind of want to play it without this stuff. So that is it. The cards that a lot of people could play, or I think that they're pretty good cards. I just have reasons not to play them. Okay, so Honest is probably the first card we're going to talk about. The reason why I don't play Honest, and I know a lot of people are going to like, oh, okay, so Honest is a battle modifier. That's good, but it's not searchable, first of all. And then the next thing is that it's a battle modifier. Cards like Honest aren't good when you don't have monsters on the board, but more importantly, a good player will be able to play around your monsters, getting rid of your monsters before you can use Honest, or even better, just won't attack, making your Honest a dead card in hand. There are plenty of times where I had Honest in my hand in a Magical Musketeer monster, and I just wished it was an activatable card, or another card to advance my game state. Honest doesn't advance game states. It just says, hey, if you attack me, you're gonna lose. But a good player will already be prepared to not attack you before getting rid of cards like Honest or playing around cards like Honest. Ties of the Brethren is also another card that everybody is flipping the table over. And it's a very good card under these situations. If you go first, if you have another extender. So not only do you need to open Ties of the Brethren, the perfect card to open with it is Casper, and then on top of that, you need a third card to trigger the other effects of your Magical Musketeer monsters. That, and it's very susceptible to Ash Blossom and getting rid of the monster before Ties even resolves. It's kind of bad, especially going second. So picture this scenario, your opponent activates, because I was playing against Pendulum Magician a lot, he makes Baguska, the Time Pendulumograph with the Purple Poison Magician. So the Time Pendulumograph itself is going to destroy your monster. You're going second, you open Ties. It does nothing for you. You going first and you open Ties, you make the board. Now you need another extender on top of the perfect card, which is Casper, and it doesn't net you that much more advantage. Ties of the Brethren is a great card in theory. I just think it wasn't good enough to play. And then the last card is Eccentric Archfiend. I mean, it's still a good card, but I don't play Ties anymore, so it was like, there's no point. So that is it for the main board as well as the side deck options. On top of that, some popular cards and why I don't play them. For the extra deck, look, y'all niggas gonna be mad. Y'all thought I was playing a real extra deck? Nah. So for the people that do play the Zakiel, you can just skip over this part. Cypher and Little Omega, ABC Buster Dragon, Spiral Double Helix, Trigate Wizard, Firewall Dragon, Borolo Dragon. Totally awesome. Baguska, you can actually make this. Dante, this card's actually, we can actually make it, but it's also really hurts us because they'll make this, and if you do play cards like Honest, you're fucked because they'll just attack over it. The Utopia, of course, so we can make it. Invoked Macabre, Gem Knight, Seraph Knight. Can I put this right here? Gem Knight, Seraph Knight, Biko, Balker, and a Caustic Magician. Some of these cards we can actually make in this deck. But I'd rather just Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries and preventing my opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! This deck does not need an extra deck whatsoever. Literally playing through the deck. There were times where I actually played cards that cater to the deck, but losing two of your Magical Musketeer monsters probably hurt more than making the monster that you were going to make. I'd rather just play better cards and play Ghost Reaper because it's practically free. I can play almost every single card for every single strategy inside of this extra deck. And then still be able to play certain cards like Utopia Lightning, Dante if I need attack boost inside of the extra deck. That's it for the extra deck. For the side deck, 3 copies of Solemn Scolding. This card is a godsend for the deck, but it's really good only going first, seeing that it's a counter trap card, can't be activated from your hand like Evenly Matched. Basically, all of my trap cards can be activated from my hand on my first turn, provided I have the right situations. Solemn Scolding at the cost of 3,000 life points says no to the opponent. Awesome card. 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Good against field spells, good against monster effects that need to stay on the field. Dark Hole Raigeki, I really wanted to fit this into the main board, but it just didn't work out that way. Book of Eclipse is a godsend in the mirror match because you flip all their monsters face down and they won't gain their effects, or it's really good against board clearance decks like Mermail. You just flip all their monsters face down and then you can play your Yu-Gi-Oh game. 3 copies of Prohibition, another enabler to the Magical Musket strategy, but you can call cards like yourself, Evenly Matched. Even though it's not as good against you, you can call Baguska because I swear Baguska is like, oh, I hate that card. You can call anything. Look, sometimes I call Trent. Next is the 3 copies of the star of the extra deck, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Now, this card isn't necessarily always good, but I play an extra deck loaded just to stop the opponent. So thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. If you guys would like to support the best Yu-Gi tuber on the net. Now, if there was somebody like in the air or somewhere else, I don't even know what to tell you. I'm the best on the net. That's all I can tell you. You can go to Patreon, and that has some awesome awards. I'm telling y'all, look at those rewards. They're sauce, especially if you guys want a personal deck profile for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. We did it in true tries. I like that.